Today I'm talking with Richard Springsteen. No relation to Bruce, by the way. I've already asked, and that was a silly question. But I'm going to be talking with Richard about his first Mustang. Plus, we talk about the other 5 Mustangs he's owned. Welcome to Your First Mustang, a podcast designed to celebrate your journey of Mustang ownership. Hello, I'm your host, Gary Neidert. Maybe you bought your first Mustang many years ago. Could be you've recently bought your first Mustang. It really doesn't matter if you bought your first one 50 years ago, last month, or anywhere in between. We just want to hear about your first Mustang experience. Our journey together on Your First Mustang will be filled with excitement, nostalgia, and intense passion as we listen to the stories of those who have experienced the thrill of their first Mustang. As I said, today my guest is Richard Springsteen. We met at a car show recently and started talking about his current Mustang, and that led to his first Mustang, and of course, that led to him being a guest on the podcast. He's got some great stories about his first Mustang, as well as the ones along the way that led up to his current Mustang GT named Stacie. I really enjoyed talking with Richard. And I know you're going to enjoy listening to him. So let's get right on into the conversation. Today I'm talking with Richard Springsteen. And no, he's not related to Bruce because I've already asked that question. And I had to apologize because I figured he got that a lot. And sure enough, he does. So we met at a car show that was held at Devil Dogs, Hot Rods, and Hogs Car and Bike Show in Allen, Texas. And it was this past weekend. Today is May 9th, and so it was last Saturday that we met. And after talking with him a little bit, I found out he's had several Mustangs. So I asked if he'd be willing to come on Your First Mustang, the podcast, and talk about his very first Mustang. And he said, sure. So I know you're going to enjoy our conversation today as he tells the story of his first Mustang. Plus, he said he's on the California Special, which that got my attention because I'm looking for one. So, Richard, thanks for coming on the podcast today. I've been looking forward to talking with you about your first Mustang, plus your entire Mustang journey.
Oh, I look forward to it, man. It's been great. I love Mustangs. All Fords, actually. I
can tell, man. So for the people that are watching and listening, you'd filled out some information on the website about kind of a little bit of a background. And if you would, go ahead and share a little bit of your background about, you said you grew up in Colorado and moved to Texas. So if you would share a little bit of that background and how you wound up here in Texas.
So it started, born and raised in Colorado, started off in automotive, cars, anything with cars. Then and working with city government from there. 2001, 9/11 hit. And I was on my second class working for City of Reno Village, where I was doing the Citizens Police Academy. And that's when 9/11 hit, and I was like, I need to do this. I want to do this work. And started applying everywhere. Got hired with Denver Sheriff's Department. Got on, worked in their county jail. And through life changes, everything else, ended up getting divorced. Found a new person who lived in Texas. Met her. I was just like, well, I got nothing tying me to Colorado. I'll move to Texas.
Yeah.
packed up everything, got a job lined up with Richardson, moved down to Texas. Sadly, that didn't work out. And the Collin County Sheriff's Office, applied with them, got in the door. And amazingly, I've been with them. It'll be 18 years this November.
Wow. That's awesome.
So love my life, love my career. But with cars, it's kind of weird because in elementary school, middle school, I'm a tinkerer. I've got that mentality where I just can hold the screwdriver and take anything apart and fix it. And I broke many appliances and couldn't put them back together. And then I got to BMX bikes where I could fix those, build those, customize them. And me and a friend of mine, Eric, we joked because I remember our first week of auto mechanics that they used to teach back in the 80s and 90s in high school. We were rebuilding carburetors on our cars. Other classmates were learning how to change a tire.
Wow.
And so my first car was a 1966 Ford Fairlane that my dad and brother bought. And my brother got bored with it, and they gave it to me for $950.
Oh, wow. Did it have the straight six? Did it have
no. Somebody actually customized it and put a 351 Cleveland in it with a C4 transmission and a 9-inch rear end. And I love that car. And had it for several years. And at the end of high school, I met a girl, and we started dating. I was working in a body shop, and my boss had a 68 Mustang Coupe 3-speed stick. So that's the first Mustang. And I'm dating this girl, and she is 17. Her name is Jamie. And I was like, you need to buy this car.
She told you that. She told you, you got to buy this car.
Well, I wanted it for her.
Okay.
Because I'm already a hot rod. I got my Fairlane, and I was like, Jamie, you need this car. Well, I don't know, my dad. Just buy it. Well, how much you want for it? I said, well, he wants between $25,000 and $3,000. And she goes, well, I only got two. I called my boss. His name was Bill Reynolds. And I worked for him at the body shop called Classic Restorations in Aurora, Colorado. I said, Bill, I'll give you $2,000 for that Mustang today. He goes, come get it. So we drove down there, picked up the Mustang, and 68 coupe, 289, 2-barrel, 3-speed stick shift, 8-inch rear end, lipstick red. Beautiful car. And no power steering, no power brakes. So my girlfriend, who ended up becoming the wife and the mother of my kids, we bought this car together. She loved it. Never drove a stick shift in her life and took it to the road. That was her ride. She loved it, and I loved it for her. I did the detail work and any type of mechanical work, and it was our car. And then about a year later, I was driving it because I'm working on my Fairlane, and a kid turned left on an intersection and hit me head on.
Oh.
Destroyed the car. So worked with the insurance company, and me, my boss, and his partner named Ralph, after hours at work every night, worked on the car on the side, got it restored. I put a GT hood on it. I blacked out the grill, redid the front bumper, the rear end. You know, the old Mustangs used to sag in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we fixed the rear end, put some springs in it, put a nice stance on it. And it was her birthday. She was turning 19. And I'm like, sorry, babe, car's not ready. It's not ready. We're still working on it. We're waiting on this. We're waiting on that. She was all upset. And her older brother and I, all right, we're going to go get some ice, get some more drinks, and we'll be back for her birthday party. She had no clue I had the car hidden in my garage for a week. Car was done. I come rolling down the street. Everybody's in the front yard, rolling down the street. And as soon as I hit front of the house, drop that clutch and turn the key, rum. That 289 roared, and she just started crying. Here's your car. all smoked out black grille, the GT turn signal lights in the hood, the cowl vents, everything. Love the car.
So the picture that you sent, that's before all that work was done on it?
I think I sent you a couple of pictures. One, it shows it sitting on front of her house before her with her dad's Pinto.
Yeah, I saw the Pinto behind it. Yeah.
And so her dad owned that Pinto, and his mom gave him that Pinto. And that Pinto was so classic that when he got it from her, it still had the tags from the factory hanging off the transmission.
Wow. Wow.
So talk about classic cars.
Yeah.
And no, she loved her Mustang. And about a year and a half later, we got married, and I started building a new engine for this car because it was just a 289 two-barrel. So I was an auto enthusiast, everything with cars. So I built her a 289 hypo, full on, hands up, full build, 11 and a 1 compression, hypo heads, headers, Holly 650, everything. And put the car together. The funniest part was the engine was built in the garage. Both of us worked at different AutoZone stores. And I'm sleeping one morning. She comes in the bedroom, fingertips to elbows, covered in grease. She goes, all right, I got the carburetor off, the valve covers off, and the radiator out. What do I do next? I was like, what are you doing? She goes, we're putting the engine in today, aren't we? I was like, okay. So go out to the garage. Sure enough, we pull the engine out, put the new one in, get it all tuned, get it set, give it to her, and she loves the car. It's just full on wicked power. She spins the Mustang out in a rainstorm.
Oh.
I was like, all right. And then she tells me she spun it out again on dry pavement. I'm like, all right, what did I build? So I took it to Bandimere Speedway in Colorado, put on the track, and she wouldn't even stick. I hit first gear. She just spun out. Second gear was just squirrely. By the time I hit third, she was all over the place. So I'm like, I got a race car.
Yeah.
So we're getting a little bit older, sadly, back then, mid-20s. Bought her a Chevrolet Beretta, and I took her Mustang. My family just sat in the garage because it was just my ride, and gutted her Mustang. Stripped out the whole interior, put a race seat in it, Ford 9-inch, 411 posi. The interior was just straight on carpet. Fixed everything else out, changed out Mickey Thompson drag slicks, took it to the track, and she was launching. This little 3-speed stick was pulling left front wheel off the ground off the line.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, she was violent, and I loved it. We had it for a few years, and then over revved it, blew the heads, put new heads on it, new upper train, changed the transmission, changed the clutch, and took it to the track again. Beautiful car. Time went on, it just got torn up too much, and through life and everything else, we ended up selling it. And that was the first Mustang, so that was my baby.
What kind of times were you running? Quarter mile, right?
Yeah, so I was up at altitude in Colorado. So with the 3-speed stick, which was weird because I was trying to find a 4-speed, but 3-speed, 1, 2 was awesome. Once you put it in 3, it was like putting a car in overdrive, which was so sad.
Yeah.
So I think the highest time I got out of altitude was about a 14-second.
Still pretty good.
I just love driving it, and just on the street, it was just so much fun. I remember a friend of mine in high school. We used to sit out in the front parking lot, and all of us would park up our cars. So I'd have my Ford Fairlane. He would have my best friend Eric would have his 70 GTO. All of us would be lined up, and this one kid in our high school class, he would bring out his dad's Mach 1 429, and he would just be rolling through the parking lot about 20 miles an hour up and down the strips of the parking lot and just tap the gas and it was just roasted tires.
Yeah.
And he would just leave black stripes all over the parking lot. We're like, oh my God, I want that.
Yeah.
And it was so effortless. It would just be like, brr. I'm like, my God, dude, how? What? Why? How?
Yeah. Yeah. So, did you ever go on any trips in the Mustang before you got it set up for drag racing?
No. The weirdest part was my wife and I. We took my Fairlane on our honeymoon,
Wow.
and it was kind of weird. We took it from Colorado to Arizona.
Uh-huh.
And the weirdest part was I wanted to go visit a Ford shop in Phoenix, Arizona that had a bunch of classic Ford Fairlane Mustang parts. So it was kind of weird, but yeah, we took my Fairlane down there.
Yeah.
And then our Mustang was just mostly just an in-town cruiser.
Yeah.
And after we split, it was a big gap between Mustangs from the 68 and until the 05 came out.
Yeah.
And once I saw the 05, I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And once they came out that retro style and Ford's promotions of it, I fell in love with it all over again.
Yeah.
And had to have it.
The 05 through 09, that's my favorite body style because it has that retro look.
And I had two of those. And I remember I was living in Colorado. I was seeing a girl in Texas, and she had an 04 40th anniversary special, red convertible.
Uh-huh.
And I'm in Colorado. I'm like, I want a Mustang. I couldn't afford a 05. My credit, everything couldn't make it work. And my brother's like, don't buy one you don't want. So I ended up getting an 03 dark blue automatic V6 Mustang just to have a Mustang.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, all right, I got one. And I remember driving down the highway. I was driving down I-25 southbound from my brother's house in northern Colorado to my place in Parker. And an 05 came up behind me. And it was dark, and they had the 4 headlights.
Mm-hmm.
And I just sat there, and I don't know, I had to hit the guardrail. I just sat there and stared at those 4 headlights, and it was just like, oh my God, look at this baby. And it was just like, okay, I want one. And then once I moved to Texas, I was able to get one. I got an 05 GT automatic.
Yeah.
All black. And then, so that was number 3. And right now I'm on Mustang number 6.
So how long do you think you'll hang on to number 6?
Well, the goal is one more year because I really want a Shelby.
Yeah.
I'm hoping next year. I mean, I can't afford a new one. So I'm hoping to get a used Shelby GT350.
Uh-huh.
They say the GT500s are drag strip, just all show, all play. But the GT350s are the track cars, the ones you can really have fun with, do this, do that.
Yeah.
Me, with my 2015, I'll put it in track mode, and I'll hit the Iowa highway on-ramp, and I'm at 130 on the on-ramp, and then I just blend in with traffic and let it slow down. So my goal is at least one more year, but if it's more than that, I'll keep her.
Yeah.
She just turned on Tuesday, rolled 75,000 miles.
Oh.
It
and
is
what year? It's a 2015?
2015 Mustang GT Premium.
Yeah.
Black with the track back and the red accent trim interior. And just her color combination just drives everybody crazy. I mean, it drives me crazy. The night I saw it on cars.com, I was just looking because I go on to cars.com about every few months, and I'll go to Ford and build your own Mustang.
Uh-huh.
So you go to the Ford dealer, you go to Ford.com, build your own, and you can go through, look through all their specs, all their options. Like, okay, I want equipment group 401. I want these wheels, these tires, this rear end, this transmission, this color package, build in price. And it's like, okay, here's your window sticker. And you can build your own car.
Uh-huh.
So I always do that all the time. And I was doing that and then clicked on cars. And it's like, here's one at Bob Tom's Ford in McKinney. And I was like, I want it.
Yeah.
And drove down there, looked at it, fell in love with it. And the guy he retired, his name was Butch. And I was like, is Butch working on it? No, he'll be back tomorrow. I was like, all right, hold this. I'm buying it tomorrow. The guy's like, well, what if we, I'm like, no, I'm going to see Butch. I'm buying it tomorrow. You want to drive it? No, I'll drive it after I buy it. And I told my wife about it and she was like, oh, okay. Well, if you can afford it, then okay. Saturday morning, I'm at the Ford dealer and wife texts me, where are you at? I'm like, well, I'm at Ford. And she goes, so you are buying? I was like, yeah, you said if I can afford it, I can. So I'm buying it. It was kind of like one of those, okay, go ahead, I dare you. And no, she had 42,000 miles on it. Beautiful kitty condition. I bought it in 2019. It was a 2015, and I paid $26,000 for it.
Oh, man.
And the car is beautiful. Like I said, I've had it since 2019. And now it just turned 75,000 miles. You saw it last week.
Yeah. Yeah. It's beautiful.
I mean, it sat outside. I finally got a garage in December of 2022. Before that, I would take it to shows, and she sat outside every night. Oh. So it would rain. I would detail it, take it to a show. And yeah, her name is Stacie, and she's the fastest, best Mustang I've owned. And just, I don't know, just everything about it is just like, okay, this is the top.
Yeah. Very cool. So you've had 6 Mustangs.
Mm-hmm.
So the 68 was the first one. Then you had the V6. Oh, 2003.
V6.
Yeah.
Yeah, 03.
And then after that, you got, what'd you get?
I had an 05 GT automatic.
Okay. And then
I really liked that one. And then what was funny was that one was the one I think I put the most work into.
Really?
Because I bought it. It was black, just plain Jane, and I wanted stripes. Met this guy in Plano. He's like, yeah, I'll stripe it. He put the vinyl stripes on it. Do this, do that. And the stripes lasted not even a year. Before they started spotting, turning brown, like they were rotting from the sunlight.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, okay, I got car experience. I can paint cars. So I pulled the stripes off, sanded the car down. You can find all the pictures on my Facebook, but we stripped the whole car down. I pulled the bumpers off, the hood off, the deck lid off, sanded all with 600, and met a guy, and he's like, yeah, you can use my shop in Royce City.
Oh, cool.
Drove it out there, and we repainted the black and then put tungsten gray stripes on it and re-clear coated it, smoked out the taillights, and the car was beautiful. Wow. Freaking loved it.
So then you traded, did you sell that or did you trade it for the next one?
So what ended up happening is I was with my girlfriend, and we're in McKinney, and I got rear-ended by a 2008 GT 500 Mustang.
Oh.
Turning right. And this was so sad because I got out of the car and I was just like, you wrecked your car. I didn't worry about mine. I'm like, you wrecked your Mustang, you wrecked your Shelby. And the guy was like, I'm so sorry. I thought you were going when the light turned green, and I went ahead and bumped. And I took it to a shop, and sadly, they just ruined her. Oh. The quality work. I said there was a chip on the trunk. Don't touch the trunk, because I custom painted it, and they repainted it, and they ruined it. Oh. The stripes didn't match, the rear bump, nothing. They just ruined the car. And it was just frustrating. And then I saw that California Special sitting at a dealer in North McKinney. Drove in. I was like, hey, let me look at this one. It was a '07 Mustang GT California Special, blue with tan and black interior, 6-speed transmission. Jumped in, drove it, and I was like, I'll buy it. And I'll tell you what, from my '05 being an automatic, going to a stick shift was night and day power difference.
I'm sure.
I'm just like, whoa, this thing has some go, and just loved it. And her name was Brittany, which is that little cheerleader name because she was finicky. And yes, Brittany was very finicky. She did not like going to third gear. She did not like racing. She did not like this. She was awesome in the snow.
Really?
Better. I drove her through the 2013 ice storm in Texas. And she stuck. I mean, I could just drop that clutch and launch her, and she would just stick to the road, would turn, everything stop. And I was just like, this girl's a snowcat. Was just awesome.
So
she was the best for the snow.
What was your favorite thing about that one, the California Special?
Just the way it hooked. I mean, it hooked good. Her only defect was hot rodding her and shifting from second to third. Every time you hit third gear, she would miss.
Yeah.
Wouldn't matter if you were driving, she was fine. But if you were hot rodding or trying to show off, it would not hit third. That was her only defect. Other than that, color, beauty, everything. She was just great.
So it was the hardtop, not the convertible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've only owned one convertible, the '03.
Okay. What'd you like about the convertible, or did you like the convertible after having it for a while?
I liked it, but it wasn't the best because, especially in Texas. I mean, convertibles are only cool in the spring and the fall for a couple months.
Yeah.
In the summer, I'll see some people that top down. It's too uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And the only reason I had one convertible because my ex wanted one because she goes, well, I want to put the top down. And she ended up getting a car with a sunroof, which solved that issue. Because I'm like, I don't like convertibles.
Yeah.
I like the look of the coupe, the fastback with the glass and the hard top. I mean, it's so much more sleek looking.
Yeah, and that's true. It is. I think I want a convertible California Special because my first car was a convertible. A little bit of that nostalgia thing, I guess, because I had so much fun with that car. But the lines are certainly much better with a hard top.
They are just the way that roof line comes down.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like a convertible is more, it reminds you of the old 60s, 70s coupes.
Yeah. 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 And I know it's probably going to be a lot noisier, a little bit more inconvenient to do that. But I figure, if I can find one that I want that's reasonable enough, if I don't like it after a year or two, sell it and get something else. Kind of like what you do. So
yes,
yeah, but that would scratch the itch for a convertible for a short time.
Yes, it would.
My brother-in-law and sister-in-law, my wife's sister and her husband, they had a house down in Fort Lauderdale, and we were able to go down there. He had passed away, and so my wife and I would go down there 3 or 4 times a year, and he had a T-Bird. And so we were able to take the T-Bird out and take the top down and do all that. But if after riding around in that one for a little while with the top down, you definitely have to have the windows up and the AC still cranked up, even in the summer out there. So I think I know what I'm getting into if I can find a convertible, but that could change. But yeah,
you feel cool on the legs with the AC, but your head's burning.
Yeah, I'll have to wear a cap. I already figured that out.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. Now I've seen that little deal that you put behind the seats that helps the wind, where it's not buffeting inside the driver's compartment. And some video, it's on Facebook. They're selling those. The comparison, this girl's driving the Mustang, and her hair is going all over the place. They put that thing behind the seat, and hair's in place and all that kind of stuff. And so I thought that might be okay to do. So
there's a lot of little tricks you can mess with.
Yeah, I got to get one before I can do that kind of stuff.
They're out there.
Yeah,
you'll find it.
Yeah, and I'm at the point where I don't really want to. I don't want to have something that's super fast. I don't want to get in trouble with it now. Just something I'd like to find one that's pretty much bone stock, and keep it that way, but just keep it real clean and polished and nice and all that kind of stuff, and just as a weekend tinker toy. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird. I remember being in high school, and that was the object of every weekend. Hot rod up and down every street.
Mm-hmm.
Be obnoxious, drag race, and several people asked me, "What'd you modify? What'd you modify? What'd you do? What'd you do?" I'm like, I put a cold air intake on it. Has an H pipe, residue delete, and Flowmaster exhaust. Oh, did you this? I'm like, no. No, it's my daily driver. I drive it every day, and I show it. And I've gotten more into the show side, into the hot rod side.
Yeah.
Because I remember being in high school, and when I drag raced my 68 Mustang in my Fairlane, my neighbor, he was a professional drag racer, and he's like, "You can't drive it if you're going to break it." He goes, "You can't be scared to break it." And I remember breaking my Mustang several times. "Hey, Brent, can you come pick me up?" And it's true. It's like, man, if you can't afford to break it, don't put it on the track.
Yeah.
And then now it's like, I look at mine, it's like, I don't want to tear it up. Yeah. I don't want to hurt it. It's like, no, it's like, I do this with it. I show with it. I'll play with it, and I'll get on it and run it up to the RPMs and everything else. But it's like, I'm not going to abuse it.
Yeah.
I make it, comparison. It's like, okay, she's 10 years old, 75,000 miles, and freaking gorgeous. So she's a little cougar. And it's like,
yeah.
It's like, no. It's like, no, this is my car. It's like, you want to do this? It's like, nope. I'm done with those days. Now it's just, it's a cartoon, low and slow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in talking with you here, one of my questions originally was, so how did the Mustang influence you for the cars of today and just being a gearhead? But from what I'm hearing is, man, you were a gearhead long before the Mustangs, and that just happened to be the thing that flipped your switch and going, man, this is so cool. And and you've just stuck with that. You stuck with the Mustang. So
no, I can't describe it. It's funny. You watch that movie Ford versus Ferrari.
Yes.
And when I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, but the one who plays Ken Miles, and he's like, "Okay, change this. The hood is horrible. The front end's too long. Change this, change that." And I'm looking at that Mustang like, you are a prom queen. And 65 through 66, I'm like, man, 67 and 68 were the beautiful.
Yeah.
Right when they just added that curve in the rear end with the taillights and the headlights was just stunning.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I kind of fell out of it once they got bigger because it is so weird how everything just got monstrous in the 70s. The Fox bodies, I really didn't pay attention to, but when I was working at Ford, I saw them. I was like, okay, these are cool. And then the S97s, which was the model before the 2001 when they were around, the Cobra models.
Mm-hmm.
Those were beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the way up through 2004. And then once Ford introduced the redesign with the retro of 05, I mean, I just fell in love with the car.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, okay, I want a Mustang.
So going forward, for someone that's looking at buying a Mustang that's never owned one, what advice would you give them who's thinking about buying a Mustang? Is there any particular model to go after, a particular year to avoid, or anything like that? What advice would you give?
The best advice I got from my brother was don't buy something you're going to regret. Hey, I can only afford a V6, but I really want a GT.
Yeah.
Or I want this one, but I really want these options. And in all reality, if you look hard enough, it's out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I found mine by a fluke. I mean, I was just scrolling one night and I was like, wow, 2015 Mustang GT, 42,000 miles, black trim, black interior. Jumped in the car, drove to the dealership, and I was like, oh my God, Brembo brakes, track pack, stick shift, these wheels? And it was just like, okay, I want it. And when I was trying to buy my second Mustang, it was like, I really wanted that 05. And I was looking at it, I just couldn't afford it. Then my brother's like, well, don't buy one you don't want.
Yeah.
You're going to regret it. It's like, if you have to wait or you have to buy it used. You know what's funny is even these used Mustangs with this new Coyote package, if you buy one that's not been abused and you just look at it and it's clean, I mean, it's a beautiful car.
Mm-hmm. I
mean, that's just the way you look at it. It's just, you find the one, you see it, and it'll just tell you that it's the one. It's kind of funny because my last three Mustangs, my 05, my 05, my 7, my 13, and my 15 have all been amazing. My 05, no complaints at all. My 07, the transmission was weird with third gear. 2013, I had it from 4,200 miles to 26,000 miles. And the only Ford complaint was a broken floor mat clip. And my 2015, yes, I broke the transmission, an MT82 manual, got it replaced. But other than that, not one warranty complaint out of any of my last 5 Mustangs of this mess up, this is messing up, this is messing up. And it's just like, are you kidding me?
Okay, so 6 Mustangs. In looking back, is there anything you would have done differently in your journey with all 6 different Mustangs? Or would you just done the same thing?
I kind of think I would have done the same. I mean, sadly, with my life and relationship status, I've been married a few times, and I kind of look at it as I've had 4 different lives with 4 different people, with experiences, kids, stepkids, everything else. just 4 different completely experiences. And what is weird is every single Mustang have been the same way. As into, okay, my 68 was just cool. Okay, I started drag racing it. Okay, wow, this is just a violent little Hellcat. And got carried away, wanted to strip it all down, rebuild it, and stuff fell apart. Couldn't afford it. And she went to the scrapyard. The 03 was just, I had to have a Mustang. Yeah, it was a convertible, the dark Kona blue. I just wanted a Mustang, had to have it, had it for a couple of years. And then my 05, she was gorgeous. So I was like, yes, I customized it. I painted it. I did this, did that. And it got rear-ended, and I didn't like it anymore. Like I said, the body shop ruined my work.
Yeah.
I wanted to get rid of it. And then I found that 07. Love the 07. Okay, yes, this and that. And just window shopping, I saw that 2013, I named her Holly. Somebody put the wrong Boss 302 graphics on it and test drove it. It's like, gotta have it. Changed the graphics and converted it to a Boss 302 clone and loved it. And life brought me changes, got divorced again, sold it, sold the other car, had a Ford Fusion, and saw the one I own now, Stacie. Just saw it sitting there and was like, I want it. The wife goes, if you can afford it, get it. And I think the funniest conversation was, where are you at? I'm at Ford. Oh, so you are buying it? Yeah. You said if I can afford it, I can buy it. Oh, okay. And we all know that conversation with a woman. Okay. She wasn't happy, but it was like, we had our separate accounts and separate bills, and I bought the Mustang.
Yeah.
And you saw it at that car show, but from 2019 through December of 2022, I showed it off and on weekends, and I didn't have a garage.
Mm-hmm.
She sat outside on the street every night, and I'm in law enforcement, and it is, you need to go to work. I'm on the way. It is, oh, I can't come in. I can't do this. Mm-hmm. And every day. And even now, I joke with people. It's like, okay, did it rain dirt last night? And like that show on Saturday at Harley Davidson, it rained that morning. We dry them off, we clean them. It's like, all right, ready to go back.
Yep.
And I drive her every day. And like I said, it just turned 75,000 miles on Tuesday. And I'll drive it every day until I can find something else to drive and put it in the garage and let her sit.
Some of the stuff that I'm seeing is they'll go to 200,000 miles pretty easy, just taking care of them, and which is pretty cool.
It is amazing. And what people have talked about with the engine development, you know, what is so weird is it has been 20 years since I've owned a car that's dripped oil on my driveway. And you remember back in the day, even now, you can drive down the road. You'd be going to, let's say, anywhere in town. Drive down the street and be like, oh, what's that smell? Oh, that's that 86 Chevy up there.
Yeah.
That's that 92 Ford. And you can smell the exhaust, everything else, and the oil dripping. But cars nowadays, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
How far we've come. Because, like I said, it's been 20 years since I've seen one oil drip in my driveway.
Yeah.
And
I've got a 2014 Escape. And I've just been thinking, I need to check on the transmission. So it's not leaking. There's no spots on the drive or anything like that. And I looked in the manual, and it doesn't require fluid change until 150,000 miles. I'm going, really? Because I thought, like 30 and 60,000 and all that kind of stuff. And I'll go, okay, I'm in good shape. So They've come a long way, a lot different from what it was.
Just every single automatic, it's absolutely incredible. Like the day of, 3 year, 36,000 mile oil. It's like, no, 660
Yeah.
and brake fluid or anything else. And it's kind of like, oh, we need to change your differential fluid. Well, Ford says if it's not leaking, don't touch it.
Yeah.
And what was so weird was back in the 60s was with the same width of their ball joints, universal joints, and tie rods, which was Ford had that notion of called greased for life.
Mm-hmm.
There was no what was called the Zerk fitting where you'd grease them because they were set, and same thing. After 10 years, they would all wear out.
Mm-hmm.
But no, how far we've come is absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And no, these new cars, it's kind of like you pop the hood, it's kind of like you see somebody stuck on the side of the road, they got their hood up. It's like you're wasting your time. You got to plug the car in.
Yeah.
If your wipers don't work, you got to plug the car in, talk to the General Electric module and say, what's wrong with the wipers? It's not wet. Well, a windshield is. Well, I'm not sensing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you almost need an engineer degree to work on a car today.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I remember sitting on my radiator support with 1 foot on each shock tower, bending over, changing a water pump.
Mm-hmm.
And those days are gone for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Long gone. Yeah.
I remember swapping a transmission in my Ford Fairlane and getting another one changed out, took a shower, and was like, I got a date and I didn't get the transmission in. And nowadays it's just people just look at you like, are you kidding me? It's like, well, no, that was normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, all this kids in the 80s and 90s were all gearheads, grease heads, and nowadays it's kind of like, what's wrong? Well, it won't start. Why? I turned the key. It won't start.
Yeah, and no way to diagnose anything, even attempt to diagnose anything, because just not familiar with it. So,
no. And the sad part is you got to plug the car in and say, hey, what's wrong with you? Well, this didn't work, this didn't work, this didn't work. Okay, well, we'll try this. Okay. This is night and day difference.
Yeah.
And sadly, I miss it, but part of me loves it because, like I said, they're so reliable now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember being in high school, sitting out in the morning and just trying to get the car to start, and it's middle of winter. It's snowing. It's just like, all right, it's not starting.
Yeah.
And nowadays, it's like you turn the key, it fires right up. It's like, all right, we're going.
Yep. Don't even have to press. Don't have to pump the gas a couple of times to.
You know what's funny was my Ford Fairlane, right before I sold it, I remember the guy I sold to was like, you got to pump the gas pedal 14 times. And he goes like, wait, what? It had a Holley 750 double pumper with a 350 in Cleveland. I said, no, pump the gas pedal 14 times quick. It'll fire right up. If you don't, it won't start. He's like, are you kidding me? I'm like, trust me, push it. He did it, fired right up, and then come back out next time. Didn't do it, and it was like the car just sat there and just cold cranked forever. And I'm like, 14 pumps. It's like it needs like a quart, 2 cups of gas poured in just to start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But nowadays it's just like tap the key, go.
Yep. Yeah. And that part I like. I like that part. Yeah.
We all do. When everybody's car shuts off at the intersection, you let off the brake and the car starts back up and rolls.
Yeah.
Different world. It's a different world.
Yeah, it is. Well, we've been going over an hour here, so we probably need to wrap everything up. So is there anything you'd like to add that we haven't covered, or something maybe I missed in terms of questions?
I can't think of anything.
No?
Just, I love telling stories. And like I said, the Ford Mustang, all classic Fords, the old Ford Torino, the Ford Fairlane.
Yeah.
I remember my dad having a Galaxy 500 XL, and all of them. Just you think of that movie. Which one is it? The my God, what's his name? Get Off My Lawn.
Oh yeah. Clint
I
Eastwood.
just drew a complete Clint Eastwood.
Yeah. Ford Torino.
That one.
Wasn't that the name of it?
Gran Torino.
Gran Torino. Yeah.
I mean, that beautiful Torino, just all of those cars.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll walk anywhere and I'll see one of those, and I'll just sit back and just stare.
Yeah. My
Because those days are gone.
My aunt and uncle. Well, my uncle worked at the Ford plant in Dallas up until 1970. They shut it down, and he transferred to Louisville, Kentucky. And they bought he had like a 56 Oldsmobile, those humongous land boat things in his garage. And he never drove it. He always drove he had a Ford Econoline van that in the front, there's a driver, passenger, and the middle passenger sat on top of the motor cover. And anyway, so they move up there, and he buys a Ford Torino. It's that, I don't know the exact color, but it's kind of a green color, had a vinyl top on it. And they've since long gone passed away. And the car is still sitting in the garage, and it's been there for probably 40 years, maybe. And my cousin says she and her husband are going to take and fix it up. And I don't think it's ever going to happen, but that would be one of those kind of cars that it wasn't the high performance kind of car, but it would still look cool and be a cool car brought back to its original condition. Maybe, a little different wheels and bigger tires and all that kind of stuff. But I unfortunately, I think mice has got in there and ruined all the wiring, and who knows what's happened to the seats. But that would be a cool car to get and fix up. But I don't think that's going to happen. So, well, we probably ought to wrap it up here. So, anything else to add?
Well, tell you what, if you want to have somebody have an open forum with a chit chat, or questionnaire, I'm down.
Okay.
This was fun. This was great.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm glad you were willing to do this.
I love telling stories.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, I enjoyed the stories.
All new to me.
Oh, cool. Well, it's really been great talking with you about your Mustangs. And so what's the next couple of car shows you'll be at if someone wants to come by and say hello to you?
This weekend, we have a double header. So Saturday, we'll be at Ford's Garage from 9 to 1. That's off Plano and Dallas North Tollway and Windhaven area.
Okay.
Ford's Garage right in front of the Cinemark Theater. Sunday will be the Revel.
Okay.
And that's also in Frisco, I want to say Preston and Maine. And for the big Ford enthusiast, hold on, let me open up the calendar here.
I'm going to write this one down.
June 8th at, let me get the correct address. Gonna be at there's a bank. Sorry, guys, I threw my emails. It'll be June 8th at the I'm so sorry with the delay.
No worries.
June 8th off of Preston and Plano, and that'll be the Shelby Cobra Association of Texas. So Aaron Shelby, who's the grandson of Carol Shelby, and some of the other ones will bring out some of their exotics, which is what you call the velvet rope area. You also see several AC Cobras, GT40s, Mustangs, Shelbys, Shelby 500s, Super Snakes, everything, plus every other car. And that is an amazing show. The first time I showed mine was there last year. I was in complete awe. This year I joined the club with Scat, and same thing. There'll be beautiful cars.
Yeah.
Like I said, some they have Plano Police Department out there as into stay back, don't touch, don't look. And there are some beautiful rides out there.
Yeah.
And it's a great show.
That's one I'm probably going to make an effort to go to.
I will,
as long as there's nothing
my
else
phone and send you the info instead of the it's in Plano.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So
well,
yes, that's a beautiful show.
Very cool. Well, for whoever's watching and listening, be sure and check out these car shows, and also Mustang Sally Productions, MustangSallyProductions.com. is they have all kinds of car shows around the North Dallas area. They're actually going to have a car show in Sherman, Texas, coming up in a few weeks. They have one close to me over in Lucas coming up pretty quick. And so
Yes.
they're a good group. They always have a bunch of cars, nice looking cars in their shows. So as you'll be able to see with his car, with Richard's car.
Yes, there's a bunch of regulars who show up, and Josh and everybody else with that group is very excellent.
And
you got 3 awards right there behind them. I see the Foxes. I can't tell the other one, and the other one to the left.
okay, well, two of them are from Mustang Sally Productions.
Okay.
Murphy Craft Beer. That was the first one I was in. Bluegrass on Ballard is downtown Wiley. That's a really good one to go to.
Yes, I was at that one last year. I loved it.
Yes. And then the Foxes one. And
Yes.
I showed my 2000 Toyota Tacoma pickup.
There you go.
And I was the only one in that class. And that's how I got the awards. So, hey.
Here's a shout out to Mustang Sally Productions. Is I've seen people with brand new cars, used cars, rental cars, and if it's clean, it's beautiful. If it's unique, it's several classes. They're all divided, color coded, everything else, and it's group voting.
Yeah.
And you could be surprised as you bring out like you said, a Tacoma.
Yeah.
And here's best truck. Here's best of this. Here's best of that. And you can bring home a trophy. And it's not just A, B, C, D. It is just like,
I never.
All this club members love this car. We love this car. We love this car. And there's your award.
I never expected to get anything. I didn't enter thinking I would win anything. I just wanted to go out there for the experience of doing it. I've got the
Got the metal tin.
I got the metal tin.
There you go. There's the best.
Yep. So
I have a stack of them, and I just save them as into here's how many shows my girls entered. I have all my awards on the wall, and if I win, awesome. If not, we have a little talk, and we'll do better next week.
Yeah. And get to visit with the people walking by. So that's pretty cool.
The promoters and just the people who show up are the best.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm 51. I'm single. It gives me something to do on the weekends instead of just sitting home doing nothing.
Yeah.
Hang out, brag about my car. I get to brag on my friends' cars. And if I bring home an award, awesome. If not, I'm coming back next week.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, it's time to wrap up. So,
Yeah, it's been a minute.
yeah. Well, Richard, thanks for taking the time to be on the podcast today. And
Of course, Gary.
yeah, it was great. You were fantastic, and it's like you're old hat at doing this. So
I've never done anything like this before, so I'm surprised at my own actions.
yeah, it was great. So
I'm a little when it comes to on video stuff.
well, I look forward to seeing you at a car show soon. I'm not sure which one, but I will see
I'm
you.
planning on being at both of them this weekend.
Okay, cool. Well,
Weather pending, she needs a little detail work, and we're ready to roll.
yeah, well, hang loose there just a minute. I'm going to stop the recording. And so thanks again.
All right, Gary.
All right, thanks. Bye. Didn't you enjoy listening to Richard's Mustang journey? I know I certainly did. Great guy. If you ever go to any of the Mustang Sally Productions car show in the Dallas area, be on the lookout for his 2015 Mustang GT Stacie. Say hello to him. Tell him you heard about him and his Mustang on my yourfirstmustang.com and the podcast. So what's coming up next on Your First Mustang? Well, I am always looking for people that would enjoy telling the stories about their first Mustang and how their lives were influenced by them. And I bet you probably know someone that would be a great guest for Your First Mustang, right? Let me know a little bit about them and their story. What about telling your first Mustang story on the podcast? Let me know a little bit about you and your first Mustang. Check us out on our website, yourfirstmustang.com. Or you can also find the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and more. And when you do, be sure to like and subscribe. One final thought. You may not have your first Mustang, but you still have the memories. It's time to share them. Contact me if you have any questions regarding today's podcast or you'd like to be a guest on Your First Mustang. Send an email to myfirstridepodcast@gmail.com. I'm Gary Neidert, and you've just experienced Your First Mustang. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.